All right. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. I am Sarah the Physio Sensei, and this is
Santi the Physio Sensei bringing some live tips to you today. What are we going to talk
yes.
about today?
So today we were kind of, chatting a little bit beforehand and how there's this buzzword of prevention, prevention, prevention. We go to
Yes.
physical therapy for, rehab, but a lot more PTs are now talking about, oh, do injury prevention and all of these activities to help prevent falling, prevent getting hurt, prevent fractures, all of this stuff. But Santi and I kind of had a different take on what we should maybe be using as far as language instead that sets up better expectations and even empowers people a little bit more so that they're not discouraged if and when an accident should occur. So what language were you mentioning, Santi? What should we be using instead of prevention?
We're going to use preparation. We're going to prepare our patients and our clients to be able to do all the things that they're telling us they want to do, right? Whether we want to prepare them for gardening, we want to prepare them for the 5K, we want to prepare them for getting back to dance, or we want to prepare them for that dance performance, prepare them for life, prepare them for cleaning my house, rather than prevention, right? Because it's such a buzzword that everybody uses, and workshops get put on all the time. It's like, I'm going to do a injury prevention for runners. I'm going to do an injury prevention workshop, and then physical therapists, unfortunately, then complain of like why the community and why people aren't buying in, right? And to tell you the truth, people don't care about injury prevention. Okay, if you try to sell that, if you try to offer that, um, you are setting yourself up to be a frustrated physical therapist because people don't buy injury prevention. They want the shiny stuff. I want to run faster. I want to be stronger. I want to dance and jump higher, whatever it might be, right? So if
Mhm.
somebody does a workshop and says, hey, I'm going to prepare you for this race, guess what? Those workshops are going to have more buy in than if you're just like, injury prevention. I'm such a smart physical therapist because this is what I learned in school. And yes, we add value to the market and we add value to what we provide our patients. But in reality, and this is what it's all about. If we're trying to help you become primary care physical therapists and leaders in your community, leaders in the world of healthcare and fitness and performance and wellness, then we have to start understanding how the market thinks as well. So if we go into preparing people for X, Y, and Z, which is what we're going to talk about today, then you're going to have a much easier PT career because people will love you and they'll buy into what you have to offer and the solutions that you have for them and the POCs, if you want to call them that, however you want to call them, or the way that you want to serve your community with workshops, or things that help you get more clients into your clinic. All those things are important. That's what we want to bring up today. And I know Sarah has some examples of upcoming workshop that she'll be doing for some of her community. So
Absolutely. So, this coming November, I have an opportunity to speak at an all women's health summit, essentially. Our local community is putting on this beautiful event. They're calling it Hello Beautiful. And it's an opportunity for a bunch of women to just come and learn how to take care of themselves better, learn some fun strategies and techniques to set up their environment to help them feel more fulfilled, to maybe learn how to curate their closet a little bit more. It's kind of like an all around fun little summit for these ladies in the community. And a lot of them are like 60 years and older. And so some of the focus and why I was invited into this space to speak is to talk about movement and ways to continue moving healthfully and with an anti-fragility as you continue to age so that you don't have to be so fearful if and when some sort of tweak of the knee or stumble and fall or whatever should happen. So, as I've been prepping for this presentation that I'm going to be giving, I've been kind of listening to the language of a lot of the people that I've been encountering in the clinic and seeing what is catching their ear. What are things that they're actually really interested in? And there's this one specific lady that I've been working with. She's in her 60s and she's still pretty active for the most part. She likes to walk, she likes to hike, she likes to garden. And she had actually come in to the clinic because she had hurt her knee while gardening and she couldn't bend down on her knees. She couldn't get up from her knees because of this pain. And I could tell that there was a lot of fearfulness that, oh, well, even if we get rid of the pain, how do I know it's not going to happen again? I didn't do anything special to get hurt in the first place. It just happened out of nowhere. How do I know it's not going to happen again? And so even though I was taking her through a lot of the traditional physical therapy things to kind of help optimize the muscles and the joints and everything like that to help get her out of pain, to help her build back that function, I was actually doing a lot of stuff to check in with her to see if she felt comfortable and confident with managing what needed to happen if she happened to tweak her knee again, if she happened to misstep and, kind of roll a little bit on her knee when she was trying to get up from the floor or anything like that, to build her confidence, to build her understanding and foresight of what she could do to take care of herself. That way, for one thing, it empowers her to know, oh, okay, I don't have to be afraid if this happens again. I can be prepared with how to take care of it because I could just follow this program that I've been working through with Sarah already. So I know what works. This is going to be helpful. And then that way, if she does need my help again, it will probably be to answer new questions as opposed to coming back to me with the exact same problem, with the exact same questions, with the exact same fearfulness and self doubt and hesitation and tentativeness to get back to doing what she loves. And she found that really, really helpful to kind of reframe, oh, we're not just doing physical therapy just to get you out of pain, to get you back to doing all this. We're actually also setting you up so that if and when this happens again, you don't have to be freaked out about it.
Right.
This happens with our body, and as we get older, people are so much more scared if you kind of like hurt yourself because yeah, we're older, we don't recover as quick as we did, when we were kids. So if we have the tools, the resources, and the knowledge that we can apply for how to take care of our bodies and to be prepared for if and when those sort of things happen, then that ended up having a much more satisfied client, and she was a lot more excited when we were finishing up her visits because now she's like, okay, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of getting down on my knees, of getting back up. I even asked her, I was like, what are you gonna do if you do happen to like tweak it again? And she's like, well, I'm going to do this exercise and I'm going to do this to kind of help with the pain and so it showed me that she really did learn from our time
Right.
together and now she's prepared. And so those kinds of approaches, that kind of goal setting helps the people not just reach their goal of a specific function, but it gives them this hidden goal that maybe they don't realize they have, but we hear them talking about to know that they're prepared for if and when the next time something like this should
Exactly.
occur.
That's such an awesome example because it speaks of the the major difference between just those two simple words of preparation versus prevention, right? Prevention is very passive. Prevention is very fear-based. When we try to prevent, we want to control everything and we know we can't control it. Like you can't control a thing. Can I prevent getting in my car, putting on my seatbelt and doing everything perfectly and using my turn signals? But I can't prevent the idiot that's going to run the light and T-bone me, right? Like no matter if I do everything, I can't prevent that. Even if I'm an awesome driver, like that split second, I couldn't prevent it, right? But if I can prepare myself to be able to handle, let's say, a crash better, right? If I decide that I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and be ready for like evasive driving and be more alert and everything like that, or learn how to, if I see that split second, how to prepare myself to like turn my car just precisely so that way then I get less of a hit. And there are people that prepare that. One of my best friends in the military, and every time he'd come back from like some trainings, he'd be like, "Man, I learned the coolest thing," and I'm like, "What?" I learned that if my the guy driving gets shot and he's dead, then how to navigate the car while I'm on the passenger side, full speed, going backwards while shooting the gun. While and I'm like, this is like the type of the special forces people do, right? And like Rangers and Navy SEALs, and I'm like, what the heck? But that's what they do. They prepare for worst case scenario, and it's a very active approach to getting ready for that activity or a potential activity or a potential accident or a potential injury. So that way the person can be prepared to then deal with it, not prevent it and just be passive and like, oh no. And it doesn't sell also in the real world. If you're trying to get people into your clinic, if you're trying to become that leader as a primary care physical therapist, and you're speaking the same language that all the rest of the clinics that are dealing with insurance companies and things like that, or just trying to get people into the doors, and they're like, injury prevention for runners. Most runners are like, well, I'm not really injured, and they don't really care. They don't even pay attention to the fact that they're like injured because they keep running and they end up with shin splints or something like that, as an example, right? But if you're like, hey, this is the 5 key things you got to do to prepare your body for your running season. People are gonna be like, man, I want that. I want to get in that. It doesn't mean you can't be a physical therapist. It doesn't mean you can't educate the community. It doesn't mean that you can't give them all the exercises that that you're skilled to teach that will prepare them and potentially prevent. But again, I feel that you cannot prevent things. You just have to be prepared for situations when the injuries happens, and it's like, okay, now you have that trust with that client that they're going to think of you first. A perfect example is I treated a lot of professional dancers. I don't know anything about dance. They have to remind me about these French terms and a la seconde and whatever. I'm like, I have no idea. But I know how to prepare them for their performances, right? Because they tell me this is what I need, this is what I'm struggling with, this is where I'm feeling the pain. And me as a physical therapist, as that movement expert, I have to figure out like, how do I break this down, this movement, to then target that tissue to either strengthen it or to recover it. And then we always talk about how to prepare them for the performance, or prepare the tissue so it can take the load, so that way they have less pain, so that way they can follow my plan of care of like, this is why we're taking it easy and we're holding off on these things, and this is why we're pushing on these things, but they're not doing these other things. So they're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Instead of me saying like, we're just trying to prevent an injury, don't do anything, just stretch and ice it. They're gonna be like, bro, this guy sucks, I'm out of here, and they're gonna go do what they do anyways. Go to probably Instagram or YouTube and find somebody that's gonna help them prepare or keep them dancing, right? So
Oh,
again,
yeah.
in summary, very important to shift your train of thought from prevention of injury to preparation, because it's a more active approach to rehabilitation, to strength and conditioning, to wellness, whatever it is that you're trying to offer your clients.
Absolutely. And like in this also demonstrates a space of like respect for our clients, because even if they do not explicitly know it for themselves, when they hear injury prevention, they might be thinking, even on a subconscious level, what's this
Yeah.
guy talking about? You can't prevent things from happening. You can't avoid getting hurt. And so then they start looking at you as maybe less credible, because
Yeah.
they're like, does this guy think he's God for being able to
Yep.
prevent injuries from happening, right? So by using terminology that encourages them and shows them, hey, we acknowledge that you can't avoid these things and that they're gonna
Yep.
happen. What we want to do is make sure you're ready for when it does happen and that you don't have to be freaked out about it. And
Yeah.
then they say, oh, okay, this person's real, this person's
Mm-hmm.
honest, this person gets it. And especially if you're working with anybody who is quite active, they definitely are going to know that things just happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, yeah, like
And the
Santi
flip
said,
side, yeah, the flip side of that is you could also lose credibility if you're like, we're doing injury prevention, and then they get injured, and they're gonna be like, you suck. I did your exercise, I did your program, and I still got injured, so I don't trust you anymore, right? But if you're
exactly.
constantly trying to prepare them for things, then that's how they view you. Even if they have an injury, like this dancer, like she got injured. I'm the first person she called. She was just like, Santi, I got this thing. Come on in. Figured it out. Pain free with by the time she was leaving. But I was like, but it's still a little injury, so we need to like rehab it and recover it. Keep doing all of these things. Just don't push these other things. And I get them to trust their body and prepare them to continue to do the performance where she has like actually next week, right? So like she didn't go out of there being like, oh my gosh, I'm injured. She was just like, all right, cool. This is what I gotta do so I can be ready and be prepared and healed up for next week. Even if she gets injured again, she's gonna have that same mindset. Oh, I gotta call Santi because it's gonna get me ready and prepare me to get back on my feet again, to get me back dancing, to get me back gardening, whatever it is. So that psychological flip, I'm telling you, is going to change the way your clients think about you, and also the way that you will approach the presentation of that plan of care or your workshops, however you're trying to, however, let's say marketing strategy, whatever it might be.
Yep. So give this a try at your clinics or your clients or your patients or whoever you're working with. Have a conversation with them about how confident they feel if the injury that they're and the pain that they're coming to see you for, if it would occur again, how confident do they feel to be able to be prepared enough to handle it the next time that they maybe have a setback or a flare up or anything like that. Use that as a measure for how much they understand what they're doing in physical therapy with you, and then use that as another goal, as another way to guide
Right.
them to get to their goals. And then that can set up the expectation as well that you are not just there to get them out of pain and then bye, you're on your own. See you next time you get hurt, right? You're actually
Yep.
showing that you care about their well-being. So give that a try with your clients. If you have any questions about how to phrase this, ways that you can kind of troubleshoot this or anything like that, drop that in the comments. Or if you have found that you use
Yeah.
language that's been helpful, drop that and help
Drop
some
it
of
in,
the other
yeah.
clinicians out as well. But otherwise, we'll see you next week. I am Sarah, the Physio Sensei, and this is
Santi the Physio Sensei. Let's all make all of you guys senses. That's the goal.
yes. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.